So we should be live. Let me double check here. I think we're good. So how have you been?
Just busy. you know, just
That's,
I'm luckily still working, so
that's
doing
good.
that and then my art thing as well.
That's
So
good. The con's been going away though, right? Which sucks.
yeah, I mean, I did have 22 shows booked this year, which was a lot for me. I'd never done that much before. Um, but I mean, I was supposed to have shows in March, as you know, Fan Expo was
Yeah,
one
that
of
was the
them.
big one.
But it looks like my next show, as of right now, is DreamCon in Waco. That's June 5th through 7th, as of right now.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I have a mid-June one, and that's a travel one too. So I bought plane
Is that
tickets and
Heroes
everything.
Con, right?
Yeah, it's in Heroes. It was my big Hail Mary for the year, but we'll see what happens. So Lisa, did you always draw as when you're younger, doing artsy stuff, or is it kind of more recent? Is it like midlife? What's that?
Yes. So, I mean, when I was a kid, I was always drawing. I was kind of a loner. So, like, I'd be able to just go and kind of keep myself busy. And one of the things I did was sketch and paint. And I took art classes in middle school and high school and even some in college. But when I was in college, my main focus was music, and so I studied music.
That's right.
Um,
Explain Songbird.
yes, exactly. I'm a vocalist, so I have a couple degrees in music, and so my art just kind of went on the back burner, and so I really didn't do much with it. So it wasn't until this was like 2014. I was in my last year of grad school, and I went to Wizard World Comic Con New Orleans,
Oh,
and
okay.
that was yeah, and so really big show. And I hadn't been to a Comic Con in years, probably since like middle school. And so I remember walking through Artist Alley, and I was just so floored by the work that was out there and all the art I saw. And it was really inspiring.
Okay. Yeah,
And
that's Artist Alley is great for that kind of stuff. You're just walking around going, "Oh, this is everything is cool."
right, so many different styles. It was amazing. And so I ended up starting to sketch and paint again. And then I started getting into crafting. So I started working with perler beads and doing like pixel art because I do love retro gaming. Um, and I did like the perler bead stuff for a while, but it's not until like these last couple years where I've just been trying to develop pixel art into like other mediums. And I still paint when I can. I love to do canvases, paint with acrylics. I haven't really painted with oils too much. Um, but yeah, that's
Okay, that's a fun journey.
mhm,
So,
yeah.
with the what was the hardest part of doing the perler beads?
Just all the time it takes. I mean,
Just meticulous, right?
oh, it's so meticulous because um, you're taking every individual bead, which, for example, right next to me, here's a bunch of little beads right next to me. Even though I'm not really using them as much now, but I mean, it's very tedious because you're placing every single bead on the pegboard. And when I first started with the perler beads, I would look online to get patterns, or I would do sprites from games and whatnot. But the more and more I started doing it, I started creating just my own patterns and my own designs to really become like a pixel artist. And now, since August, I stopped doing perler beads. I had done that for about well, I've been in business about 7 years now, so for most of that, I've been doing the perler beads, and it was really taking a toll on my body to do that constantly and to like restock for conventions because sometimes I would make um, it would be me and then maybe a friend that might come over and help me and put stuff together. but it'd be like 150, designs for just
Yeah,
one.
it's a lot.
Yeah, and so all my weekends were taken up as well if I wasn't at a convention. So it was just too much. And so I moved into other mediums, such as I have a laser cutter, an
Yeah,
engraver at home,
I think it's cool.
uh, which you have seen.
It's pretty dope.
um, yeah, it's really cool. And so I've been able to create like my pixel art in wood and engrave it, and I make little wood standees. And then my latest product is I'm making character tiles, which they can be used as display or as a coaster. So would you
Okay.
like to see some of it?
Yeah, yeah. Pull it up.
Yeah. Okay. So here I have a little Arcanine that it's a little wood stand. So, it sits perfect, on your shelf or whatever. So,
Those are cool.
uh, yeah, and they're really lightweight. And then I have ones that, because I can't really do, like, I can't print color on them unless, like, I had a UV printer. So instead, I redesign it and I can hand paint them with acrylic.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Just straight up
Uh,
acrylic, nothing. Do you prime it at all, or you go straight on onto it?
No, I go straight on and then I just spray it with like a
Oh,
gloss
yeah.
finish
Okay.
afterwards to help protect it. And then like the character tiles I was talking about, so here I make these at home. It's very shiny. It's so this is Link, and then the background is from a canvas I had painted,
Oh, yeah.
and then I put it onto a coaster. So, or it can be like I call it a character tile. So it comes with a stand as well, and then it can just sit on your shelf as like a little trinket.
Yeah, a lot of Ruby's keychains that she sells, they'll either be uh, a stand or a keychain that comes with a stand and a loop, so you can do either one. It's kind of cool.
That's a really cool idea as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we're finding. Like, there's a lot of versatility needed in the item. It's not just one or the other. So it's been interesting to see more and more of that stuff come out.
Yeah, yeah. It's been fun experimenting with some new stuff, and I just like it because once I make it, create it, once and perfect it the way I want, then I can make as many as I want at home, and
Yeah.
and it took some investing in the equipment, but at least like I don't have to send it out to somebody and
Hmm.
worried about what the quality is going to be like, or I can make it exactly the way I want. So I just love it, and I really like the painting part too for the wood standees. That's been a lot of fun.
That's good. Like, it's always fun to get back into it somehow. But I can see how the perlers would just be a
Oh,
toll on you. Just so meticulous and takes
oh,
forever.
it's so much, and now it's funny. Like people can still order them on my website, or even in person at a convention. But like when I have to do one, my body just dreads it. I'm like, oh no, okay, let me just get it done.
Yeah, it's rough.
Because now I'm out of the habit of doing it, which is good. I mean, because it was just too much before.
Yeah, your
But
hands are
I
better, your shoulders are better, your back's better.
Yeah, and I feel like I can be more creative because doing everything digitally now, I can add more shading, and
Mm.
because I used to have to stick with the colors that were available in Perler. And now I don't. I can add as much detail. I can make the design itself as big as I want. Because I used to kind of try to make them stay around a certain size because it'd be faster for me to build. But now I don't have to do that. I can be as detailed as I want, and it's great. It's great. And um, uh, what's awesome is I can show you here. So, like a couple things I'm working on. I tend to sketch my ideas out before I pixelate them, and
Okay.
so like, here's my sketchbook. So I'm working on some characters from Labyrinth.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so I'd like to, maybe make them, into like a group poster or something like that. Oh, and here's Toph from Avatar. That's a little rough sketch, but to go with like the other labyrinth designs I've done, like so here's
Oh, there you
Jareth and
go.
so I kind of want to make it into a set. And with all this extra time that we're starting to have because, conventions have been postponed and
Oh,
canceled.
it's been so
Yeah,
weird. It's been so weird. Like our sense of time is completely broken.
I know. I
Like
know.
we're so used to having cons on the weekends, but now it's been so little of them. Is now it's like, what day is it? I have to remember. It's like I gotta remember when trash day is. I gotta remember when to go to work, when to go back to
Right.
work. I was like, oh, this is gonna be rough.
It is rough. And then just trying to keep track of, okay, this show moved. What date did it move to? Does it work out?
Yeah,
Because I'm running into that with some shows where they're conflicting with others, and then I have to choose, do I get a refund? Do I just hold my spot for next year? Some shows just straight up canceled, and we're like, we'll give you a refund. Like,
yeah. I think
next year, bye.
I think we're seeing the ones who are like kind of hanging on are just gonna
Mhm.
shut down, and then the ones who
Probably.
like can kind of make it will get maybe 50-50 out of there. So we'll see what
Yeah.
happens.
If this goes into the summer, then maybe like the fall will be really awesome for us, and all those con goers, like attendees are probably really, going through withdrawals just as much as us, because we love being at conventions, we love meeting people and nerding out with others that are just like us,
Yeah, for
and
real.
I love to buy stuff too. And so if we end up having to wait until late summer or the fall, I'm sure
Yeah,
I'm sure
the
it
first
work out.
day of a con is gonna be intense. So I've been following pro wrestling, and all those
Mhm.
shows are either have been canceled or they're doing it in an empty arena just to like put something on
Yes,
TV. And so
I saw
all
that. Yeah, yeah. My husband and I, we turned on SmackDown because
oh
it
yeah,
was on TV the other night on Friday, I guess. And then I was like, well, this is weird. It's an
mm-hmm,
empty room, but they have a ring. And
yeah,
then these poor guys are like having to play to an audience that's not even there. But
it's
I was
really
like,
weird.
kudos to these guys for still trying to put on a show.
They have TV time to fill, and they have to
Mhm.
fill the TV time. Um, the WrestleManias this weekend. They're actually filming it, and so
Oh,
it's not going to
wow.
be live for the first time. They're filming it, but everyone is saying when the first show comes back, it's gonna blow up for
Oh,
everything. They
sure.
won't be able to
I think
perform. They're gonna be
I
so
think
loud.
everything, because people just want, normalcy again.
Just back to what it used to be. What are your favorite shows out of the ones you do so far?
Favorite ones. One I do earlier in the year, in February, Lubbock Con, which, you guys usually do that one, don't
Mm-hmm.
you?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Ruby goes up.
Yeah.
I've been up there once or twice, and then Ruby's been going lately. Yeah, it's super nice people. The show's great. The staff is super like insightful, and they always check in on us. It's a great little show. It's growing though
Yeah,
too.
it is growing. Like this year was really awesome. And like, oh God, the whole staff is just amazing. And I really like the people out there. Like it's totally worth the drive from DFW all the way out to Lubbock.
And
Like
I think it brings in an audience that we in Dallas don't see. And the DFW
right,
area is all kind of like the same people over and over again. But once you travel like 6 hours away, that's when you start getting a whole new audience. We would travel like an hour or two in Texas. An hour or two drive is nothing. That's just across
right,
town.
right.
So
And
you gotta
as
go
you
all the
know,
way over.
Texas, I mean, there's at least 100 shows a year. I'm sure there's like way more than that. You
Yeah,
know, it's crazy, and especially as much as it stinks right now that everything's postponed or canceled, is it maybe kind of helps the saturation a little bit for the convention scene because it's so heavily saturated, especially DFW. And as much as I love doing shows in DFW and seeing a lot of my fans in the area, um, you have so many shows competing with each other for the same audience.
yeah.
And for us as artists, it's difficult to be like, okay, where do I make my choice? What show do I choose? to do that particular weekend. Or, you can easily fill up your schedule, for a whole month, every weekend with a
Hit
convention. Because
everything.
there's, yeah.
It's been pretty
But
crazy.
Lubbock is great. Um, what's one of my other favorite ones? I love doing Epically Geeky Expo. It used to be called Geek Fest in Killeen.
Okay.
Um, yes, and they just recently changed their name last year. That one was going to be in May, but that one just got pushed back to August, and it's on the same weekend as Anime Fest.
Oh.
So, and we're all kind of waiting to hear about Anime Fest. So I was like, well,
Yeah.
we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll
Anime
see
Fest
what happens.
somehow they've catered a very art centric audience. Like the art, I've always heard Artist Alley there does really well. I think that there's just kind of artsy folk, kind of like Heroes. Heroes the same way. It's a very artsy collector crowd. If you showed up with a gang load of just generic prints, no one's gonna like you.
Right, right.
So yeah,
I get that.
is it always a different audience? So yeah, Lubbocon's always been good. I haven't been to the Geek Fest one. That sounds kind of cool.
Yeah, that one's fun. That one's at CTC, Central Texas College.
Okay.
So they do it every year to help to fund scholarships
Oh,
for
that's
students.
cool.
So that's what I really like about that. And I lived in that area, so it's always nice to go back and see friends as well. Um, that's a good one. FanX was a really awesome friend show because usually everybody I know ends up doing that show. So it's funny, my booth helper, usually it's my friend Rachel or Rebecca. I mean, they're like, where did Lisa go? Oh, she's down there talking to somebody because I just constantly see somebody I know. And so that's one thing I really love about that convention. And they usually get like a lot of big celebrity guests and comic artists too. So
Yeah, that's always a big like media show. Like they're pretty heavy hitting on the guests, and it's local, so yeah, everybody goes there from here.
and then another convention that I love. It's a little smaller convention. It's in Commerce, Texas. It's about an
Okay,
hour east outside of Dallas, and it's called Hunt County Comic Expo, and it's a good little show. It's in a gaming shop.
okay,
It's really fun, really nice crowd. You usually get like a college crowd, and they've let me do workshops there. I'll do like a little perler workshop as like a panel and whatnot, and I always have a great time when I go. So it's quite a variety. I do quite a variety of shows. Like I do Comic Cons, I do anime conventions, stuff that's more pop culture related. Sometimes, well, I've done a couple of niche cons. They haven't always been the best.
yeah.
But I like doing all kinds of shows. And this year was the first year I attempted to do a few out of state
Oh
shows.
yeah, that's right. You went a little over place. You went to
Yeah,
Florida, right?
yes, I went to Florida. So that convention, Space Coast Comic Con, is only 20 minutes from my parents' place.
Oh, there you
So
go.
not only was it a weekend to go meet people and sell my stuff, but I was able to spend it with my family.
That's
And
cool.
so that was really nice. And my parents, who were really supportive with my art career and anything that I've ever done, whether it was music or whatnot. They were so happy to see my stuff in person. And my mom, she was like, "Wow, this is amazing!" And she like saw the cosplayers, and she was just, blown away. She'd
Oh
never seen anything
yeah,
like that before, and so that was really fun. And the show was okay. It had moved. It used to be in September, but they moved it because of hurricane season. So I'm hoping maybe next year. I might attempt to do it again, just so I can, have the trip home to see my family as well. We'll
that's
see how
cool.
it goes. Yeah. So.
So, in your opinion, like, how do you define the difference between like the mood of an anime con versus a comic con versus like a niche con? Can you like?
Yes. Okay. So anime conventions tend to be a younger demographic. Like you tend to get a lot of tweens, and maybe like middle school, high school students that tend to go to a lot of these shows because they all love anime, and that's around the age that I got into anime as well. I mean,
Okay.
I started watching Sailor Moon and when I was in like seventh grade, and fell in love with it. So that's tip and I know like there's usually a lot of concerts that they'll offer or
It feels like
lots
a
of
party,
programming. It does feel like a party,
like
and
a
we have
variety
dance
of
parties.
parties, like
Yeah,
either a big like woot woot party all the way down to like a very chill slumber party. Everyone's
right.
really chill. It's like let's hang out.
Yeah,
You get to know each other, kind of thing. Panels after panels, hangouts after hangouts.
yes. There's so much programming at anime conventions. That's what I love. Like, you never have anybody that will come up to you and say, "This show was kind of boring." Because
I
that
do.
tends to happen at Comic Cons. Now, Comic Cons are, we tend to get a lot more adults and families and versus like anime conventions. But Comic Cons, depending on the size of the show, might just be geared towards your celebrities, your big name celebrities that they can pull in, which is great for people who have never met the actors or musicians or whomever they're having to guest at the show. But, those people are charging,
Yeah,
sometimes 40, 60, 80 or more dollars for a photo. And then you're standing in line for hours.
yeah,
Um, and the only kind of panels you might have is a Q&A with that celebrity and not enough panels, I think, or workshops to engage people.
yeah. It's
Um,
they're way more like big group activities. They're really the pull. I always felt like Comic Cons felt like it's a more of a shopping experience,
mhm.
and like with like a celebrity, like the celebrities are now are the main focus, and the shopping experience is kind of an add-on. It's
Yes.
if you collect something, it is
Mhm.
in that vendor room. If you collect anything, if you collect lunchboxes, if you collect like vintage 1970s toys from this city, like you can find it
Uh-huh.
somewhere in that space.
You're right.
Because there's every it's I remember one of our neighbors had and sold a complete set of Barbie Backstreet Boy collection, like the whole
Mhm.
band, and he had it out and we were like, oh, that's hilarious that you have it. And then he sold it, like someone bought the whole set. I was like, there's a market for everything.
I mean, there is because stuff like that, I mean, maybe they had when they were younger and they just didn't hold on to it.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
But like an
and
anime show, it's mostly the new stuff. A handful of people with old collectibles.
right.
No one's looking for the rare items from the 80s or the 70s. They're not looking for collectibles. They're looking for stuff. That's how I look at it from the vendor side, at least.
Yeah, and you always get somebody who's going to ask for something that you don't have, and especially like anime shows, you get that those kids who love everything that's on TV right now, or that's streaming. But then you get the older folks that around my age or older that are looking for those items from like from Dragon Ball, like
Yeah,
the original, or Ranma, or some of these other shows out there that really there's not. Well, Dragon Ball, there's a ton of merch, but like Inuyasha, those are some of my most popular items that I sell because people are like, oh, I can't really find a whole lot of merch for that,
yeah,
and so they
that's
got
true.
something in my style, um,
Something.
for the fandom that they love.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, and even then, like I remember Ruby, they apparently reissued some of the figures that she has, but they're way
Oh,
better. And I was like, oh, I had that set, and they're just upgraded it, and the upgrades are way cooler.
oh yeah, for sure,
Because
for sure.
it's really kind of sad, but all the shows we grew up with are now hitting their 10-year, 15-year, 20-year anniversaries. So
I know. I
So so
know.
they're like having these big revivals. Like, oh, that's a back. It's like, oh, it has been 10 years. Oh my god.
Yeah, like Sailor Moon, I think
Hmm.
debuted in 92. So
Yeah.
it's been out for 28 years.
Oh my god. And Sailor Moon doesn't get enough props. It is like she's a superhero. She has a secret identity. She has a day job that she goes to.
Yes.
She saves the world. Like she sees the universe. Complete superhero.
Yes. Yes. Although in the anime series, the 90s version, there is quite a bit of filler. I think like I didn't quite the filler didn't bother me when I was younger, but then when you go and rewatch it, you're like, oh, well, not much was accomplished in that episode. Like kind of how I feel with like Dragon Ball or,
Oh
Naruto
yeah.
or something. You're like, oh, there's just so much filler. And so when you like read the manga or like Sailor Moon did Sailor Moon Crystal, and followed the manga very closely, and even developed some of the characters a little bit more than I feel like you kind of got in the
Hmm.
anime because the anime, the original, like the first dub of it. When it like came to the US in 95 was terrible because it was just so appealing for like little children.
You
Um,
have you ever? There's a YouTube show called Toy Galaxy, and they go
uh-huh.
in depth into the licensing of Japanese stuff in like the 80s, 70s, and 90s.
Uh-huh.
It is the wild, wild west. People people are buying multiple cartoon series, cutting them together to make because they're from the same studio, so they look the same. So
Yeah.
cutting those together to make a whole new show, rewriting like getting past censorship, the cultural differences, and I
Mhm.
remember one of the shows they got edited so badly they couldn't finish it. Like they with the footage they had at the end, like we can't make sense
Oh
of
no.
the storyline
Of
we
this.
built because we rewrote it so many times. So, eh.
Yeah.
So thankfully after that, people were like, if we buy this series, there's enough fandom. It's popular. Why change it? Just translate it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like,
Translate it correctly.
yeah, or as close as you can. Make the attempt.
Right. Right.
So it gets crazy. So you grew up with Sailor. What else did you grow up with? Were you
I
like
mean
anime,
that was
cartoons, movies, comics, a little bit
oh
of
well
everything?
everything well, okay, so Sailor Moon was like my gateway into other anime. Although at the time when Sailor Moon was really popular, we were very limited on what was available. Like you there was only so many DVDs out, and we didn't have the streaming like we do right
Yeah.
now. So so that was like mostly it until I went to grad school
Oh.
and I had a little bit more time on my hands, and I just got back into anime. So I started watching like Fruits Basket and Oron High School Host Club
Oh yeah.
and Fairy Tale and some of the newer ones. And I was like, oh man, this is what I've been missing.
There's a lot of good stuff
But
out there.
right, and but everything else that I love. I mean, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. Um, I love all things Star Wars. Even the newest, the sequels.
So
Some
what do
people
you
hate
think? What do you
them.
think of the last three? I've seen none of them.
Okay.
So give me your
I
opinion.
think. Okay, so I think a little bit of the writing is sloppy, but I think if J.J. Abrams would have had the entire trilogy, I think it
Okay.
would have been awesome.
So you like the stuff that he did.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Because I liked Force Awakens. The Last Jedi, I did like it when it first came out, but there's just certain problem issues with it. And there's a lot of fans out there that I'm sure they agree, but I didn't hate it. Okay, yes, there's things they could have done differently, but they didn't. They went with a completely different director. Shame on Disney. So, anyways,
It's a Star Wars
but
machine. You can't stop it. It just keeps rolling.
exactly. But I really liked The Rise of Skywalker. I thought it was the
Okay.
best way to end it with what they had to kind of fix from The Last
Do,
Jedi. So,
do you feel
um,
that the Ray journey made sense all the way through this time around?
um, yes. I
Because I
mean,
know
now.
I know with the Luke story, it had to change in some portions because of like sequels and rewrites and director changes and things like that. So with her story and her reveal, did it make sense all the way through?
For me, it did,
Okay.
and I feel like she's a really strong character. And Star Wars is full of plot holes, from
Mm-hmm.
the prequels to the OG
Mm-hmm.
series.
They there's certain I remember there's certain story points had to get changed because of like contracts or someone got hurt or like this may happen, that may happen. So it created plot holes throughout the whole thing.
Right.
The
Right.
series isn't
Or
perfect.
just even the writing itself. I mean, George Lucas did everything for A New Hope, and then Empire Strikes Back, they changed
Mm-hmm.
directors and there's other writers. So, and Empire Strikes Back happens to be my favorite Star Wars
Mm-hmm.
film. And people really, really hated the prequels when they came out. Phantom Menace is still my least favorite. I'm sorry, it is.
What do
It's
you
just not
think?
my favorite.
Did you run across
But
this Jar Jar Binks fan theory?
I love that fan theory.
It makes the
I
most sense. It makes the most sense.
Now, for those of you that are watching, if you don't know this fan theory about Jar Jar Binks, is that he is supposed to be a Sith.
He is the Phantom
And
Menace.
yes, and I go, if this was true, then I really wish George Lucas would have followed through with it. But I think the response to Jar Jar Binks, people hated him so much that it just didn't happen.
Yeah.
And I think that would have been so brilliant.
I think it's
That would have
completely
taken me by
true.
surprise.
I think it's completely true because I remember distinctly seeing a scene behind the scenes and it's Lucas and a partner talking about characters. And he
Mhm.
points to the wall and says, "We have to get Jar Jar right. He is the key to everything." And after you watch the first movie, you're like, "What the hell are you talking about?" Right? You're like, "No way!" And actually, when you watch
Yeah,
the trilogy, you're like, "He is not the key to anything." And then you see the
right.
faint theory, you're like, "Oh, he is. Oh my god."
Mhm.
So yeah,
Mhm.
yeah, the backlash was immense. It would. I wonder what would have happened if they just stuck to their guns and was like, "All right, we're just gonna play this through."
Maybe I would like the Phantom Menace more.
Yeah,
Who
because
knows? But it is what it is, and everybody has their favorite movies, and but I do love everything Star Wars. No matter what they put out, I will go watch it, and I don't care. I'm not going to be an angry fan. I'm just gonna love it. I don't care,
it's a
and
fun world to live in. It's a story world. You get to play in it. Have you
right.
talked and been to the Star Wars land? Have you been?
Yes, I just went
Okay.
like 3 weeks ago. So before this whole COVID thing happened,
Oh wow.
before it started like really um, making the world stop. I had went on vacation and I went out to California, and one of my good friends took me out to Disneyland, and I got to see Disneyland for the first time in Disney
Oh,
California.
okay.
I had only been to Disney World, and I hadn't been there since they've added Galaxy's Edge. So, I went, and the rides are amazing.
Did you cry anywhere? Did
Like
you cry anytime?
I did cry a little on Age of
Legit,
the
legit.
Resistance. So, Rise of the Resistance.
I remember listening to Kevin Smith talking about walking on the Millennium Falcon, like the real one, on set. He's on the set of the movie, and then he said, "I'm suddenly like 8 years old again, running through my house, and I'm crying." And I looked at JJ. I was like, "You need to sell this experience," and here we are.
Right, right. And well, even like Smuggler's Run, I mean, you're in the Millennium Falcon, and it's just so cool. Like any Star Wars fan is just gonna, feel like a kid again. It's so amazing, and I'm really glad that it's been added to the parks. And
They're good.
I
Disney
can't
is
wait to go
really
back.
good at making experiences. They know how to like
Oh, for
really
sure.
immerse you in the space
Mhm.
and take you away. And especially the new tech they got. I hear you can do missions. You can get your own lightsaber. It's you become you enter in. It's LARPing. It's really
Right.
expensive official LARPing, like just straight up.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome. That's cool. So is that your main fandom, Star Wars? Do you what other ones do you
Um,
dive into?
that one, and then I really love anything Legend of Zelda related. I do like playing video games. Like right now, I'm playing Animal Crossing, like most of the world right now,
Yeah,
who
for real.
can get a hold of a Switch.
I've been loving the Animal Crossing holding up the world memes that have been going
Mhm.
around. Did you see the Animal Crossing and Doom guy ship?
No.
The games came out on the same day. And so the internet
Oh,
made them like buddies. So the Doom guy is always playing Animal Crossing, and the little Animal Crossing character is always playing Doom on the computer. Like they became
oh
best
my
buds all of a
gosh.
sudden. I was like, oh,
Yeah,
this is my favorite
I
thing.
I was like so excited. So like so before the game came out, I started sketching 'cause- and so I have like some of their older outfits, but I'm
Oh, right
like,
on.
yeah, I did these little guys here.
Yay.
So I'm just gonna like change their outfits to the new game and whatnot, and then pixelate them and make some buttons and stuff. And I'm gonna try to have that some of the stuff I showed you guys available at Fan Expo. Um, that show got moved to June 19th to the
Yep.
21st, which we're hoping it still does happen.
Yep. That's the weekend
Um,
I'm supposed to be at Heroes.
Yes. So with that, because it got moved to a weekend, I already have another show. I have Greater Austin Comic Con, which is a show I have been dying to do. This is its third year. I didn't get to do it the last 2 years, so I'm really thrilled to do it. So I ran into like, oh my God, what do I do? Do I just get a refund for Fan Expo or whatever? And
Choices,
so
yeah.
my good friend Rachel she offered to run a booth for me at Fan Expo.
Oh, okay.
So I've had an artist table set up there the last couple of years. So this will be the first year I'm personally missing it, but my stuff will all be available.
How does that feel like growing your business to two shows at a time?
Oh, it's scary because now I'm like I'm a very type A person, so I'm very organized and constantly making lists and with that type of thing, her and I have to meet about it as far as what I'm going to need to split between both shows. And actually, like right now, I don't know if you guys can really see, but do you see all this stuff here?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is all wood standees I'm working on.
Oh, okay.
So I
Wow.
have double stock for Fan Expo.
Yeah,
And then,
wow. Yeah, you gotta make everything for both shows.
yeah, so I have like a bin over here labeled Fan Expo, and like I just printed like, um, ooh, here's my
Oh,
little baby
wow.
Yoda. But
Yay.
yeah, so like I printed like a whole bunch of stuff I'm gonna have available,
That's cool.
at the expo, and so it's really weird trying to do double the stock. I know the hardest thing is going to be my buttons because I usually bring over 100 different buttons designed for each show. Uh, so we're figuring it out, but I'm I wish I could be at Fan Expo. They have so many good guests lined up this year. Like I
Yeah.
really want to meet the guys from Full House.
Oh my god.
I want to meet Bob Saget.
Ah, jeez. Yeah. Woo.
Yeah, yeah. They and like Alicia Silverstone and Brendan Fraser, like those, you know, that's like my childhood all
Yeah,
over
for
again.
real.
So
They really tapped in that
nostalgic,
nostalgia. Yeah.
nostalgia for sure. And so, but I'm gonna have to miss it. But I will be down in Austin doing that show as well.
But your business is growing. Now you have a chain. You're franchising. Look at this.
Yes.
That's
But
been a
I will miss
journey,
you
right?
all, but I'm looking forward to that weekend, and hopefully we still do have these shows. We'll see.
Yeah,
We
we'll
will see.
see.
Stay home, people. Let this thing end. Let
For
it
real.
end.
It's been it's been dicey. The grocery store I've been going to lately have been pretty stocked. Nothing's terribly crazy.
Um,
Um,
it depends on which store I go to and when. When I went a couple weeks ago, or when I just got back from vacation, so almost 3 weeks ago, it wasn't that bad. I was able to find most things, but then the following week I go shopping and there's no pasta and there's no water and there's no toilet paper. And it's like everybody went crazy,
It just
buying more
decimated
than what
it.
they need or hoarding. And then so for, people who just want to get through like, just their once a week shopping, you can't.
Yeah, just the normal
There's
stuff.
nothing left. But I did manage to go to a store on Friday and right when they opened and found toilet paper, so that was kind of nice. So
That's good.
at least like I don't have to. We really don't have to go shopping for another couple weeks.
That's
So,
good. Yeah, we grabbed the usual, and I grabbed like a little extra, and then now I'm just
but
supplementing the
nothing
stuff we're running
crazy,
out. Yeah. So now I've been
Um,
grabbing a handful of things whenever I go out, like once a week.
yeah, it's just I just wish like I could get Clorox wipes or something because I don't have them. And like if I go grocery shopping, like even when I was at the store, I'm about to put my card into the reader and put in my
Mm-hmm.
PIN, and the girl at the register, I was like, "Do you have a Clorox wipe so I could like wipe this?" Because if you think about it, everybody's
Mm-hmm.
been touching it,
Yep.
and if you
Yep.
don't have
Yep.
gloves, which there's no gloves available, like you could get exposed to the virus. And so,
Whenever whenever I go out, when I come back in, I drop off anything. I go take a shower. I come out. I spray everything down. It's like
it's
complete
hard.
decam. I was like, because I don't have all this. I don't have gloves. I don't have a lot of wipes left. So I was like, well, I just gotta wash the whole thing every time I go out. So
Right. And honestly, there's always new information that's being released about this virus that we truly don't
who knows?
have enough information, that
I
or you're reading articles online that are circulating and you're like, okay, how much of this is actually true? You know.
I feel a part of it is. Have you ever played the game Plague Inc? You know what I'm talking about?
Mm-mm.
It's a game
No.
on the phone where you play a virus or a bacteria, and in the later stages of the game, you can start mutating. So that's what I think we're seeing now. Because there's every new discovery is like, oh, it did this, or it's something that we just didn't know beforehand. Now we're figuring out. Because I saw an
Right.
article where people who've had it may can re-get it again, possibly. So
That's what we're hearing, and then there's more than one strain out there, so it's even affecting people, my age.
mm-hmm.
And it just depends on what kind of health conditions you have going on.
Yeah,
Somebody who might be asthmatic, but healthy for the most part, can still have a major issue if they contract this virus.
yeah.
And, you know, hopefully more states and counties are putting into place, the for people to be home, like stay home. Like if you have to go to the grocery store, just send one person from your household, just
Mm-hmm.
one. Don't bring all six of your kids because you are risking exposure. And yes, I know it stinks to be stuck in the house with all your children.
Yeah.
Um, but if anything, go for a drive together, but don't get out.
It's
Don't
been
get
like,
out.
if anything else, the traffic has been amazing.
It's
Oh
been so
my
great.
god. I'm looking at the thing, I'm like, I'm going 85 and there's people going faster than me. So like I
Right?
gotta I if I don't want to get rammed here, I gotta keep going. And at one point I looked around, I was like, we are all going 90 miles per hour on a
I
Tuesday at
know.
4. What is going on here?
Right. It's so weird. And, I am grateful that the traffic is much lighter. Granted, the only place I'm even going to is work, because I can't work from home yet. So I'm still going to work every day. And then, but luckily, I don't have a lot of contact
Mm-hmm.
with people who do come in the office. So that's
Oh, okay.
kind of nice. Um, However, like, I mean, there's a, there's benefits of being able to work home, which I would love that, but we'll see.
Yo,
Hopefully,
it took me a week to get used to it. I was a wreck for the first 2 or 3 days. I could because I
uh,
was on a laptop. I was in the laptop next to my bed. I was like, I can't do anything. So I had to like set
well,
up
and
my
then
own
you can't
space,
focus.
and like I had to move. I had to set up my own app. Like do this, do that, because I was using work to set my schedule. I get to work.
Mhm,
I do this. I take my medicine. I do this. At this time I do that, and then I have a meeting.
mhm.
But all that's out the window. So it took me about a week to
Yeah.
get
It's really
acclimated.
important to stick to a routine because even Matthew Warlick
Hmm.
posted what was it like last week about like what he does because he's been working from home for so long, and he's like, these are the tips that you should,
Yeah. Gotta be
these
diligent.
can help you working at home. And I was like, oh, some of that's actually really, it's all really helpful. Because, and for those people who now have to transition to working at home, you got to figure it out.
Yeah.
And, and one important thing he does say is like, which I appreciate, he's like, don't stay in your pajamas, like get dressed. And I'm like, that's smart because if you just stay in pajamas, you're not as motivated.
Yeah,
You kind
for
of
real.
lay around, right? And eat and watch TV.
It's getting really, yeah, it was getting dicey. But for part of me was I didn't like working from home because my office let me do it for when I started working there. But I gave it up because I didn't like my day job being in my house. Because of my previous job, I was working all the time, like 60, 80 hours, times where I stayed until like 9, came home to eat dinner, went back to the office until like 3 in the morning, and then came home to sleep to go back to work again at the normal hours. Like it was intense. So I was like, nope, I like leaving the office and leaving it behind me. And it's just because I do this kind of stuff. I have other things to take care of.
Right. I get that.
But it took me a while, like, all right, this is my workspace, this is my play space, this is my TV space. Like, once I designated everything and got back on, like, a time routine, it kind of worked out again. So it's not so bad.
That's good. I'm glad.
Yeah, I'm lucky as a designer I can work from home and do that kind of stuff. Our live events industry is down the toilet right now. It's been rough.
Sure. I mean, so many businesses right now are taking a hit, and
My previous workplace was a trade show company, and
oh wow, so
all the clients are gone. All the shows have been canceled. Like and no one knows when it's coming back. So no one's prepaying for the next one next year or the next season. So
we're only in like what, week 3 of this, maybe week 4, like, and you see how much this is affecting everything.
Yeah.
And so just stay healthy, people. Stay home.
Use the internet. Use this thing that we're on right here.
Yes. Like
as best you can. Other things can't do it.
And for those who really need social interaction, like right now, this is great. We're having social interaction. And for the last 2 nights I have FaceTime with friends of mine because I'm like, I need to talk to someone. And I'm like, yeah, just call me. It's fine. I don't mind video chatting and, socializing. It's cool, if that's a way, especially for those extroverted people, they're the ones who are really, really, going crazy right now.
Yeah.
I'm an introvert, even though I'm very social. I love to be kind of by myself and, veg out on my own. And so I'm like, oh, I don't have to go anywhere this weekend. This is great.
I'm kind of introverted, but I like to roam around, and it's been terrible.
Yeah. I mean, I got up Sunday morning and I was like, oh, I really could go to IHOP right now. I would love that.
Just
I
to
love
wander
breakfast
out.
food, especially on the weekend. So I was like, well, I guess we'll just have to order out. And once things get back to normal and we can, do those things that we love.
Yeah, I'm glad I went out to take pictures that one late night, and it was completely dead. It was weird.
Oh, right. Wasn't that in Garland? Was that you who posted that?
No, I posted photos over in West Dallas, like off of Harry Hines, where it's usually like a lot of activity, and I did run across the street race. I just kept hearing an engine revving. I was like, what the hell is that? And then all of a sudden, a motorcycle, a rice car, and a muscle car screamed down the road, and then they hit on the highway, and then they just opened up from there. So I'm not sure where they were going. Part of me wanted to chase after them, but I was like, nope, don't. Stop looking for trouble. This is you don't look for adventure, especially in Corona time. Don't do those kind of things.
Yes, no.
But it's changing times. So let's go over. So where can people find you online?
Okay, so on Facebook and Instagram, you can find me at Songbird Pixel Art. Those are my handles. And then if you want to go to my online shop, I do have an Etsy, but it's not very active. So I recommend to just find my direct website, which is songbirdpixelart.com.
I'll put it in the bottom.
Woo woo.
So you
Yeah.
have two
And
Facebooks and your website.
Facebook, Instagram, and my website.
There you go. Down
And
there.
and I do all kinds of custom orders. So if you see something, if you look through my stuff and you're like, oh, she doesn't have this, just ask. Fill out the form on the bottom of the website, at the bottom of the page. Just fill it out, ask me, and I'll see if I can do it.
Everybody, good custom work. She can do it, like legit. It's been fun watching you like transition from where you started and where you are now. I'm excited to see what you do moving forward. It's amazing. I love it, all of it.
Thank you. It's been quite a journey, and I hope to continue and to keep growing. Because everybody needs to try to grow their art and their
That's
business, and
the life of an artist, right? I remember in
yes,
my martial arts class, we always joked, we're like, no, getting a black belt means putting on your white belt and not washing it until it becomes dark. And it just takes years. It takes
yeah,
years and years to really earn yourself a black belt versus being given it. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Cool. So let's end this thing. I gotta find the button.
All right, bye guys.
Bye.
Thanks for watching.